All right, we're back. We are COMP397. It's web game programming. It's the fall 2017 semester, and we are week 4, part 2 of our broadcast, and we're starting our mail pilot demo with our template. Okay, we have a problem. The problem is, we always start with the problem. The problem is we have this template, and we need to make a mail pilot demo like the one I made for COMP305, but using the project template. So I don't want to overwrite this thing. I want to keep it as is. This anymore. I want to make a new project. So there's a couple ways to do that. If you go to the project template that I gave you, without you having to use your own code and potentially having something go wrong, right? Take a look here. I can clone or download. If I click download, it's up on my GitHub. I actually get my template with no Git folder or anything like that right here. So I can download this folder, right? And that's what I'm going to do. So first of all, let's close up Visual Studio Code, right? I'm going to close it up. And the next thing is I'm going to stop. I don't want this to continue. So Control-C to stop. Close up my files. I'm going to close up this stuff for now. I'm going to quit Fireworks just for now. And I'm going to quit out of this project template. There it is. Okay, quit. Now I want to dump my new zip file here on the back end. I could copy and paste this, but I want to show you how you can do it. All right, so that's why I'm going to download it. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to say download zip. I'm going to put it on my desktop. Here's my zip file, right? Save. It's on my desktop now. I'm going to unzip it. There it is. And when I look at my desktop, I have a couple of files. I have this zip file, and I have this new project. Let's get rid of the zip file. I don't need that anymore. In my project file, it actually has something inside of it. If I go inside of here, that's the way they work. Now, all I need to do is rename this file to the new file that I'm going to make. So I'm going to use COMP397 F2017, but I'm going to call it the mail pilot demo. Mail pilot demo. There. And I haven't touched this. This is my project template. And I just downloaded it and made a new folder with exactly the same stuff inside. There's a couple of changes I want to make, right? So first of all, I'm going to launch Visual Studio Code now. Drag and drop my new project folders. Here we are. In my package.json file, not the create.js project template. I'm just going to do some cleaning up. So this is going to be my COMP397 cache F2017 mail pilot demo, right? I do this every year, right? But it's a good learning tool. That's why I use it. And this has got to change too. I'm going to change that up in a second. I need a repository too. I need something to use as a repository for my files. So I'm going to go back up on GitHub. I'm going to go to Centennial College, and I'm going to make a new repository for my files. So I'm going to call it COMP397 F2017 mail pilot demo. Okay, I've got the stuff, right? And what I want to do is I want to use this stuff to create my new repo, right? I know what my repo is going to be. It's going to be this ahead of time. So copy this and replace stuff that's in my package.json file, just for completeness, not because I have to. It's not my create.js project template. It's my mail pilot project, COMP397. Again, I'm just modifying F2017, right? Mail pilot demo. This is what's going to be in. I'm just copying this stuff inside of my package.json. I'm leaving this stuff alone. It's nothing to do with me. This might change. Renaming, right? Index.html, that's got to change, right? Because inside my title, it's not create.js template anymore. It's mail pilot, right? My content, I'm not changing that up a little bit at all. My bower.json, might as well fix this up as well. Bower.json, so COMP397. This is before I put it up on GitHub, by the way. F2017, mail pilot demo. Still by me, but if it wasn't by me, you would put in your own stuff in here. F2017, mail pilot demo. And this is going to be different. So I'm going to grab that URI again and go back and wipe this out. Again, this is all for completeness, not because you have to. If you left it alone, no one's going to complain. Not even me. Right? Okay, cool. So I've renamed as many things as I can think of renaming, right? And I'm ready to put this up on GitHub. So I'm going to go to my folder, right? So first of all, I'm going to save all, file, save all. And then I'm going to open up my terminal again. I'm going to go CD space, and where my file, my folder is, which is right here. I'm just going to drag and drop. And here's my new folders. I'm going to say git init. I'm going to initialize my git repository. Git add dot. Git commit -m initial commit. I'm starting off my new commits, right? And now, just to get the last part, which is this part, I'm just going to copy these last two lines here, right? And paste. When I do that, I'll have my mail pilot demo, which is identical right now, except for minor things, to my template. And if I refresh, you can see that that's the case. Fantastic. So I've got I can start working on my game. All right, so my game is going to be a mail pilot. It's going to be a little plane. As the plane flies, for those people who've never seen it before, some people have, some people haven't. My plane flies around, and there's a scrolling background, and it flies over the islands. And if it flies over the island, it picks up mail, gets points. If it hits the clouds, it gets destroyed. That's the simple game. And we'll build on this game over the course of this semester just to add more features. I'll add particle effects. I'll add animations. I will add screen shake. I'll add whatever we can think of. Yeah. But we'll start small and build on it, right? How do we do this? So we know that my first part of my game, my game is going to live inside of my play state. Let's leave my start state alone for now. Let's leave my end state alone. All I care about is in my play state. So if I go to my play scene, here's my play scene. And I've got some stuff here I don't need anymore. I'm not going to need a play label, a back button, a next button. I'm not going to need this stuff. Let's get rid of it. So in my play state, I'm just going to start cleaning some stuff up. So I'm going to get rid of all this. I'm going to this is what I would do for any level. I would come here and just get rid of everything inside my start, because I don't need any of it right now. And same thing with all this stuff, even my back button, all that stuff, my next button, everything is gone. So this is what my play state looks like now. Okay, cool. So I've got my start screen. I got one thing I should do is, because I'm starting a new project, I need to Command-Shift-B again. Single transpile. Cool. I'm also going to go to my terminal, and just so we can keep track of everything, all my changes, I'm going to do light-server here on my new files. And here we go. So the mail, welcome to the game. We're just going to name one change we're going to make to this is going to say mail pilot. Okay, it's going to say mail pilot. So let's go back to my Visual Studio Code. And I'm going to go back to my start scene for a second really quickly and just change this welcome screen to mail pilot. Mail pilot. And you know what? Just to make it nice, I'll make it so that it is really big, 80 instead of 40. I'll save everything and I'll go back to my game pretty darn big. Right? Start. Nothing here, right? Because I removed everything. Make sense? All right, so let's add them back in. So what I want to do now is I want to have a little plane, right? that goes left and right. And I already gave you these assets. So if you actually look at the assets from last time, inside my assets folder, I have images. And here's the plane that I want to use. It looks like this, right? And I want to take this plane and I want to, whenever I move my mouse, I want the plane to move where my mouse is. Okay. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I can't just do it like this, right? I need to make a new class. Just like we did for our button, I want to make a new class. And I want to call it player or plane for now. For now, it's going to be a subclass of createjs.bitmap. Eventually, we're going to make it a subclass of game object. We're going to make our own game object. Not yet. All right, so let's get into this because we have to do step by step. So I want to go into my objects folder again, and I'm going to add in a new file called plane.ts. So my plane, when I start producing this, I'm going to use module. It's going to be called objects. Remember with the objects module. And inside my objects module, we're going to export the plane object, which is going to extend the createjs.bitmap. Okay, and it's going to, of course, be a class. So far, so good. So all I've done is I've got an object, module, plane, and we're good to go. All right, next. Now that I've got this and it extends bitmap, now that plane is a bitmap, right? It is a bitmap. Well, we don't have any bitmap to load in here, right, in our plane because we haven't preloaded it. So in my core files, in my game.ts, I have some buttons. Let's leave these buttons here. We may use them again. It's not going to hurt us for now. But let's add in some of the other assets. In fact, just to be preemptive, I want to load the plane, island, and cloud, and ocean in. So let's do that. So I'm going to say plane. We'll say this is the plane. And this is plane.ping. I'm just loading them into my manifest. This is the island. This is island.ping. And this is cloud. We'll go to cloud next, cloud.ping. Right? And the last one is ocean.gif. It's the only one that's a GIF file. This way we don't have to go back in there and do this again. Ocean.gif. Okay, so there we go. So we've preloaded all of our assets we need so far visually. Island, cloud, and ocean. Okay, we have all of our game objects so far. Very simple game. All right, so now let's go back to our, yes?
Just curious, is there any possibility to load that from JSON file?
I like your thinking because we're going to make a sprite sheet later, and I'm going to load it from a sprite sheet with JSON. Right? I know you're ahead of me, right? But this is simply what it is. It's just I could load a JSON file, but then I have to wait for the JSON file to be loaded before I use my loader. So it's all async, right? So if I don't do things right, then by the time my JSON file loads in, I won't know what to load because I'm loading a JSON file to load other files, right? So yes, let's take it one step at a time. There's ways of doing it, absolutely, but slow, right? I don't want to make it because then we're going to spend time in a loop trying to figure out how to do that today when that's not the plan. But the answer is yes. So this is the way it's done. Let me go back to my plane class because that's the one I was working on. So I have my plane.ts file. Here it is. And I know that in my constructor, this is what I'm going to need here. I may have some private instance variables. I may have this. Let's go back to our standard way of doing things. I may have some public properties. I may have some constructors. I don't know. I may have some private methods. and some public methods. Okay. Here's the public methods I want to have. I want to have, right, a public start method. Gee, this looks familiar. And a public update method. That looks familiar. With a capital U. I don't need a main. Start and update is all I need right now. Okay. In my constructor, I need a constructor. And in my constructor, my plane, I'm going to call the super constructor. And well, I need to use my asset manager. So it means I'm going to pass in my asset manager in here, right? So I'm going to call this asset manager, if I can spell it properly, right? Which is of type createjs.loadQ. That's what it is, right? It's my asset manager. And I'm going to use my asset manager for my plane, get results, to pass in the word plane in there. Right? So this, I'm passing in the plane object, so it looks like a plane. That's what I'm doing here. Are you with me? So I haven't done much yet, just this. Okay, now I need to add this to, I want to do one step at a time. I want to add this to my index.html before I go on. So in my index.html, notice that I have objects here, and then there's a scene object. I want to put them below the button, but above the scene, right? So the scene knows about my game objects. Again, you might say, Tom, not necessary. And you're probably right, but I'm a old school person. I like to put things in proper order, just in case, you know, I have to load them with the loader in the future. My plane.js, right? There it is. Cool. So label button plane. Yay. Okay, so I don't need to make a reference to them in the game file, but I do need to make a reference to them here. So my self, the plane is just an object. That's all it is, just a bitmap right now. There's nothing else special about it. Okay? But what I want it to do is this. Whenever I move my mouse, I want the plane to know where my mouse is somehow. Right? And wherever my mouse is, I want the plane to appear. So the X coordinate. I want to start the plane at around 430 pixels. By the way, how do I know that number? Because I've done this thing many, many, many times, right? So about 430 pixels. So in my plane.ts, then, remember that because this is a bitmap, it has X and Y coordinates and registration values and all that stuff from the get-go. It just has all that stuff, right? So what I want to do is a couple things. I want to set my registration point to the middle, right? And I want to set my X and Y coordinates initially to the plane to 320 by 430. That's my initial position for my plane, right? So I'm going to do that here inside my constructor because I know without adding my plane in, I want my plane to take care of itself. Okay? I could with the registration value and all that stuff on its own, right? But I know that this is something that I'm going to do for my plane objects. I know what it is, right? Now, hear me out. If I make a generic object, which I will, right? Some of the stuff that I'm going to be coding here, I'm going to pass into my superclass, right? So eventually I won't need to code it in here. But bear with me while we go through this whole process so you understand how it's done. So in the constructor function, right, I know that I want to set my registration values and all that stuff. I'm going to say this.regex, right, is equal to, and again, you may not do it in your registration values. You may want to do it in your start method. Some people, maybe that's where the best place to do it because that's where the initialization usually takes place. Let's do it there. And but I definitely want to call my start method from my constructor. That needs to be done. So I'm going to call this .start. In my constructor, in my start method, I'm going to say that this.regex is equal to this.getBounds, right? dot width times 0.5. Now, why can I do it here? And because I've preloaded my plane, I have an object. And because I have an object that's a blob, I have a width and a height. And so I can measure it, right? I've passed it into the super constructor. Something's already happened, and it's passed it back. I'm going to do the same thing for the y values. Reg y is equal to this dot get bounds height dot 0.5. Becomes 0.5. Okay, good. So I've got my resolution values. And I also want to set my initial position. It has a this dot x because it is a bitmap, right? So this dot x is going to be 320. And by the way, it's hard coded. I don't like that. Maybe I'll make another config file that says middle of the screen, something like that eventually. For now, no. And this dot y is equal to 430. Okay. All I want right now is when I add my plane, it just appears on the screen. I can't move it. That's what I want first. Can I make my plane appear on the screen? Okay. I save this, make sure I save all, go back to my play scene, which is inside my scenes folder. I'm just organizing our scenes, right? Here's my play scene. And inside my play scene now, I'm going to make a reference to a plane object, right? So I'm going here. I'll make a private underscore plane. I'm not going to share this with other scenes, right? Which is going to be of type objects.plane. Nice and easy. And then once I've got this in there, in my start method, right? Well, I can do it either in my start method or my main method, but I'm going to do it in my start method because that's the way I do things. Is going to be this dot underscore plane is equal to a new, right? Objects dot plane. I'm going to pass in a reference to our asset manager. That's what I need to do. This will instantiate the plane, but it won't add it to the scene. We do that in main, right? Anything we add to the scene happens here. We're just partitioning the way things are done. That's it, okay? So in here, in main, right, we're going to say that I'm going to add the plane to the scene. So I'm going to say this dot add childs, this dot underscore plane. And that should add it to the scene. I also want to do an update. Even though I haven't put anything in update for plane yet, inside my update function, I want to put this dot underscore plane dot update. I want to call it anyway, so that I'm ready to listen for any kind of changes to my plane's position or anything else I want to do with it. So all I've done is preset up everything. I'm just going to show you the whole thing so you can see it all. I'll make it a little smaller, right? So basically what I've done is in the constructor, I've taken in the asset manager and the current scene, right? I need that. I've created in the top underneath my private instance variables a reference to the plane object, right? Here in my start method, I've instantiated the plane, but I haven't added it to the scene. I add it into the scene in the main method, and I call its own update method in my update method. So you can see the update methods are going to cascade. The update method for the plane is going to be called in the scene, and the scene's update method is going to be called inside stage, right? And so what's happening is every frame, all the scenes that are active are going to be the update methods for the scenes, and every object are going to be updated, right? And update is just a really clean way of knowing when to update the plane. I want to update the plane. I want to update the position. I want to change the size, shoot, whatever I'm going to do. All right, cool. So now I should have enough, if I've done everything correctly, to go back to my plane. If I click start, I should have a plane. Are we good? I can't do anything with it. I don't have this, and you get some other weird error, and you miss something. Hey, let's put this up on GitHub because I did a lot of work here, right? So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go add all this stuff. These are all the files I've changed. And I'm going to say added plane to play scene. And then click this check mark here and push. And now you should see all these changes that I made up on GitHub. So if you want to check if your plan is not working, please check my GitHub and compare my GitHub to your stuff, and you should be able to discern what the problem is. Okay, well, the plane's not moving, and we need to get a reference to the stage object. Oh, man. Do I have access to the stage object here? Here's what I need to do. In the plane's update method. Now, this is without using keyboard controls. I'm just using mouse. Okay, I want to get access to the mouse. In order for me to get access to the mouse, get access to the stage object, which exists here, right? Create just.stage. I don't have access to the stage, right? I have access to if I want to pass along access to the stage, if I want to pass along access to the stage, how do I do so? Well, let's take a look at create just do that, because remember we've added child, a bunch of ways along the way, right? So if I go back to create.js, the reason why it's showing all these errors, because we have we've turned off that light server for that other project. Okay, so if we go back to the stage, here's my stage, right? And if you look at it here, you can see that the stage itself gets added in, like we said. We have a constructor for the stage, right? And I can look at my index. My index in the documentation shows all these different things for the stage. Add child, cache. But I would love to know the parent. Is there a way of understanding the parent object? And, well, I don't see one, right? I'm just trying to help you guys out, right? So we can think about this. Well, here's one. What's this parent mean? So properties parent, okay? Parent is inherited from display object, a reference to the container or stage object that contains this display object, or null if it has not been added to one. Well, we know we can go to parent, right? If I go to parent, that means it's a stage object. Because it's a stage, right? I know that I can get the mouse position, because the stage registers the mouse position. So let's see if I can do this without having to pass a reference to the stage. I'd never want to do that. That's terrible, right? Just like how you were thinking about, oh, I don't want to pass it into my update function. I agree with you. So going back to my play, right? Is there a way? Let's try it first of all. In my update method, right? Before we do anything with the plane, right? Here's my update for the plane, right? I want to change the position of the plane, and I want to pass it in here, right? So first of all, before I update the plane, I call the update method, right? I want to see inside here, can I console log and get a reference to this dot parent, right? And if I was looking at mouse, right? Mouse enabled is cool, but stage mouse, you see, here's mouse X and mouse Y. There's mouse X, and that's all I care about. Can I print out the mouse X from inside of my play? Okay, so inside my play state, can I get access to the mouse? That's what I'm asking for. Go back out, come back to here, right? And let's take a look and see if I've got my inspector going, right? Let's go to my console, and let's start. And as you can see, wherever I move my mouse, I'm getting a reference to it. I've passed in a reference to my stage. So I've got access to any of the coordinate spaces, even outside of the stage. Once I go outside of the stage, I've lost access to where my mouse is. Why? Because the stage doesn't exist there. It only exists here. This is good. Okay. Question. Do I want to keep track of my mouse here, or do I want to keep track of my mouse in the plane object? Well, if we can pass a stage there, and there's a parent, it must be a parent to the parent, theoretically, right? So let's see if we can get the mouse object's position from inside the plane object. So go objects, plane, and inside my update method, because this is where I want it to be done, I want to say something like this. This top parent dot mouse x dot mouse, oh man, what happened? Dot stage dot mouse x, there it is, right? And I want to care about the x component. That's what I want to care about. That is the x component. And I want to print this out right here by going to console.log. So now I'm doing a console log inside of my plane class. So save everything. Let's just save all, just to make sure that it's good. It's all transpiled. Go back here, press the start button, and then, hey, we have access to my mouse. And the way I did that, I want to show you this again. Because I have access to the parent stage, I can get there. Yes?
I noticed that that object also has a stage that getting from the parent and getting the stage itself.
Let's try it. So this is the parent. We'll say this is the stage, the parent stage, parent mouse X, right? That's what that is. And just to make you happy, we'll do the other one. We'll just say the parent itself. This is the parent's parent. How about that? Parent's parent. Parent mouse X. We'll get rid of one of these parents, right? And then let's see if we have any difference. I like your thinking. Let's just copy this and say the object itself dot stage. So you're saying this dot stage, right? If there's such a thing. This dot stage dot mouse X. Let's see what the difference is. Worst case, right? So we'll say this mouse X. Okay. Will be 3 of them. I'm not moving it, right? So I want you to see if there's a difference between one and the other. There is. Parent mouse X is 453, right? That's 611. Well, looks like it's all the same to me. It's all the same. It's all the same. So if I look at it and I scroll over or whatever, you know, you can see that it's the exact same number all the time. So to your point, we don't need to do this, right? Why did I talk about this? Because I want you to understand the hierarchy of display objects. You always can go backwards and look at some object on the stage if you really want to, right? There is a display list chain, which is really cool. It's almost like a linked list. Right? That's what it is, right? Or a list of linked lists, right? So that you can go back and go back and forth. But all we need is this, stage.mousex, right? Well, now that we have this, stage.mousex, we can say that this.x is equal to this.stage.mousex. And then, my friends, we should be able to move our mouse around anywhere we want. However, we're not really done, right? If I refresh and go back to MailPilot, now wherever my mouse goes, so too does my plane, right? However, I don't like this. This is bad. And I want to stop it. I want to have some way of checking that if my mouse is outside, my mouse X position is at this place, I want to push my plane back this way. And if my mouse position is over here somehow, I want to push my mouse my player at this position. Okay. So how do I do that? Well, I got to check. I got to check bounds. Hey, that is another method, and that's a private method. I go in here and I'm going to put private. We'll call this underscore checkbounds. Right? In my checkbounds method, I want to see that. I'm going to call it here, by the way, this dot underscore checkbounds. Because remember what I told you before, the update method should be as clean as possible. Right? In fact, I could even call another thing that, you know, what's a move position or plane move or something like that, which would be a little bit cleaner. But for now, let's just leave it as is and go here and say, well, if this dot x, which is the middle, remember its registration value is in the middle, is equal to of the stage, which is 640, right? I want to move it back by half the width. I don't have half the width. It means I have to calculate it every time. I don't want to calculate the half the width every frame, which means I need to do it first. So somewhere at the top of our file, inside of my instance variables for now, yep.
Equation we have the right x, right?
Yes.
And it's the
But we haven't kept track of it. Regex is not well. We do. We could read regex for half the width. It is true. But we want to probably keep track of it somehow, some other way, right? So for now, let's just say this dot width. We'll say width. The width of the object is going to be a number. And you know what? Just to do that, let's do the height of the object too, just because, right? And what I want to do is, why am I getting an error? Oh. Then inside my start method, for now, I want to say something like this, that my width and height, right, is going to be before this stuff. So I'm going to say this dot width is equal to this stuff. Let's do all my calculations first, right? And this dot height is equal to this stuff. I'm just trying to set us up for the next step, which is going to be our super class, right? And then this is going to be this dot width, right? Times 0.5. Did I make it width? Yeah, I did. Good. And this is this dot height times 0.5, right? I just reset it a little bit. So now I have width and height, right? And if I have width and height, then I can check that. Now I could also calculate half width, half height, and I might want to do that. Half width, half width, and half height is an extra calculation for me. I could use regex and regy, but I don't want to, right? The reason why I want to know half width and half height right away is so I don't have to recalculate it every time, right? Another couple of variables. So I'll say here's a number, half height is also another number. And we're going to calculate this first. So we're going to just take these two things here, put them here. We'll just say that this dot half width and this dot half height. We're just set up. This is all set up, and this is going to be half width and half height. Half width. This dot half width. Half width. And this dot half height. Does that make sense? I know that I'm kind of breaking it down a little bit, and you might say, yeah, you don't need those things. You're right. To make it more understandable. That's all I'm trying to do. You're not gonna take that much memory to make variables. Okay, I'll tell you right now. What it's going to take is calculations. If I calculate half width and half height every frame, that's bad. But if I have these numbers from the get-go, I'm okay, right? So now that I know that, in my check bounds function, I can do something like this. I can say, if this dot x is greater than or equal to this dot half width, right? Then this dot x, right, is equal to 640, right? That's wrong. Half width. 640. I'll come back to this. Is equal to 640 minus half width.
So it could probably be that either way. So if this is width, 640 because then if your mouse is on the edge of the screen, but not quite outside it,
Agreed.
you would have partial, like a part of the half of the thing outside the box.
Okay. I like it. Let's check this one first. Okay, let's see if this one works. So here, start, and right, it stops right there, which is what I wanted to do. And I want to do the same thing for the other side. All right, and I'm going to do another if statement, not else. If this dot x is less than or equal to half width, right? Because half width is whatever the half width is. So it's less than that. That means it is equal to half width, right? All I'm doing again is just resetting things. So example, how would this work? Let's say my width was 32. Gee, how do I know that? 32 and a half actually. And if my width is 32 and a half, and if so, I'm saying if this x coordinate is less than or equal to 32 and a half pixels, then this x is equal to 32 and a half pixels, which means it's going to be, remember the x means it's the middle value, the middle pivot point. So it's never going to go that far. And same thing with the other side. Okay, so if I do this, and I go back, and I start, and I can never go here, and I can never go there. Oh, there. Makes sense? So this is what the plane does. It can't go farther than this. So we've got our plane, peoples. We've got our plane. We've got our like the first part of our game. So we've updated the plane. I'm going to go here. I'm going to add all these, and I'm going to say updated plane object to add movement. Bum, and push. You should see all those changes come up on GitHub. Great, fantastic. I got my plane. Okay, but it's really boring. There's nothing I can do right now. It's just white. It doesn't look like it's flying over anything. Let's put a background. What I wanted to do for those people who've never seen it before is I wanted to create this idea of a scrolling background. So for people who have seen MailPilot, please forgive me. I don't mean to bore the crap out of you, but I need to do this. Actually, I'll look at the desktop. I'll look at the desktop. I need to do this to show people who've never seen the MailPilot demo before in any form, right? So let's suppose I have my background. My background is my ocean.gif. I'll bring it up in Fireworks, your favorite graphic manipulation program, whatever it is. So in Fireworks, we're going to see that this is 640 wide, right? But it's not 480. It's 3 times 480, right? Which I think is 1440 or something like that. There it is. There's the ocean. And what it is just a graphic that's kind of going to move from one to the other. Now, I want you to picture my viewport. So my viewport right now is this rectangle. And let's suppose I'm just going to draw a rectangle here. Did it actually draw it? It did not. Excuse me. And let's make the viewport down here. I'm going to make it so that the width is 640, height. Sorry. I'll be okay. I meant the width is 640 and the height is 480, and I'll make it start at 0, 0. And that's a 0, 0 right now. And what I want to do is I want to make it so that it has a bit of a border so we can see that really quickly. And we're going to change this to like 5. And we're going to make the background transparent. And what I want to do is I'm going to lock the ocean, but I want to move this thing down. Okay, so imagine if the ocean starts like this. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. So the ocean starts down here. And then what happens is, right, the ocean's going to scroll down like this at 5 pixels per frame. It's going to keep scrolling straight down until it gets to the top of the viewport like this. And when it gets to the top of the viewport, we're going to reset it back to the other place, like up to here again. Really quickly, we're going to reset it back to here. And it's going to keep doing that over and over again. So it's going to look like an endless scrolling background. Now, for people who've seen this before, again, please forgive me. All right, but I got to show it here in code so you understand and remember how this is done. So, going back to code, yes.
Reach the end, then you're gonna have to put it in the beginning again. I don't know if it's the same as if it's the same copy at the end and in the beginning. Depending on the image, you can create those flickers.
It will be creating a flicker a little bit, but it'll be so minor. This one's not bad, but there's some. What you want to try and do is get a tiled graphic, right? So the tile is it snaps too. So at the top and the bottom of the tile, it's the same pattern. So there's no flicker. So when it goes back, the bottom of the tile and the top of the tile match. So it looks like it's one tile, right? That's what it should be. Or the other option would be you get two of them. Take the first one and the other one, and you have two oceans. One in the front, then you put the other one on top. There's no flickering, and then you put the other one on top of here, and you keep doing that over and over again. So you always have two of these ocean graphics on the screen at once. One that's way off screen, and then when it gets to the bottom, it puts the other one on top. It just keeps moving on the top like it's like a big stack, right? That makes it a little smoother. We don't need to do that right now. All right, so let's try this out. And this is not a parallax scrolling background. That's a whole different thing. This is just a single scrolling background. All right, we have a need for a new object, an ocean object. So I'm going to right click here, new file. I'm going to create this. I'm going to call this ocean.ts. I know it's going to be a module objects file. I know that right now. And I know that we're going to export a class that's called ocean. And it's going to extend the create.js bitmap, just like we did last time. Okay, we're going to have some private instance variables. Okay, we're going to have some public properties, maybe. Not yet. Constructors, maybe. I always do this in the beginning. Private methods and public methods. And I know that I need a constructor that takes in this idea of a asset manager. Which is of type create.js load queue. And we need to call the super constructor and pass in this asset manager dot get results and pass in the name ocean. That we need to do, just like normal. We also have a start method, which is public. And you know what? One thing we forgot to do for our plane is it returns void. Thank you for paying attention. And we also have a public update method. That also returns void, right, for our object. And you know what? This is so far so good. I want to put this in my index.html to not forget. So from here, I've just done nothing new. This is all the same, right, so far. I'm just going to put in my index.html just to make sure I have it. I'm going to go in here. And now, doesn't matter the order in this case. Plain doesn't need to know about ocean, right? So we're going to put the ocean object in here. So ocean.js, there it is. That's an object. Already preloaded it. So I can go back to the play.ts file. I'm sorry, to the ocean.ts file. And the way I want my ocean to work is this. I want it to have a speed, a certain speed on the x-axis, a vertical speed, right? And I want the vertical speed to be 5 pixels per frame. Okay, so this is going to be a private instance variable. So I'll say private. We're going to call this underscore vertical speed. And we're going to make it a number. Right? Inside of my start method, I'm going to call my start method from my constructor. So start. And it's got to be this dot start because it's part of the class. My start method, I'm going to say that I'm not going to set the registration values to the middle of my ocean. No, 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 no. Not for the ocean. The ocean is the one that I don't set the registration values. I want it to the top left corner because I want the top left corner to align with the side of my screen. So I don't want to set the registration values to the middle this time. Okay? Because if you think about it, going back to my fireworks drawing, well, if I made it to the middle, that means my ocean would be over here. It'd be drawn like this. Right? I want it to be drawn like this, from the top left corner to the bottom right corner. So I don't want to set the registration values. All I need to do is move this y value, the y value, and the x value. I got to set those things up. So the y value is going to be set off screen initially, right? But I know I'm going to reset it. So I'm going to call my reset method in my start method, right? So I might as well make a reset method now before I do the y value. So I'm going to call this private underscore resets, right? Which is going to return void. And this method, what this is going to do is going to say this dot y is equal to, and I want you to think about what this does. If you go back to the screen, it looks like it's 1440. That's the height, right? So now what is the negative value? I need 480 to be shown. So something like 960, negative 960. So it's like negative 960. That's the height. So really what I'm doing is the 0 point, this thing is starting off screen somewhere negative 960. And then it's going to come down, right? So this start method, in the start method, I'm going to call reset, right? So this dot underscore reset. What else do I want to do in start? So reset is being called, right? It's going to go back to 960. I also want my update method, every update, I want my y value to increment by 5. So in my update, I'm going to say this dot y plus equals to 5. So that's going to start scrolling the background down. The reason why it's positive down, positive goes down on y, negative goes up on y, right? So I'm going to add 5 pixels for every frame to the current y coordinate of my entire ocean. Now I want you to think about this, actually, what's really happening. Imagine if I have this massive canvas that's behind my, my viewport. It can be massive. It could be 10,000 by 10,000. And if I have things on it, some kind of texture, some kind of image, right? Literally, it can look like I'm moving my object around. And it doesn't have to be scrolling automatically. Maybe my player will make the whole background scroll, right? All right, so this is true. This is keep going. But it's going to reach the bottom. And I'm going to check to see. I need to have check bounds, another check bounds method. Let's do that. So here's my check bounds method. Now my check bounds method is going to be different. This check bounds method is going to say, well, if my y coordinate, this dot y, right, is greater than or equal to 0, greater than or equal to 0. And the reason I'm saying greater than, because you never know, it might just going to go to greater than 0 as it continues to scroll. I want to reset. Then this dot underscore reset. So when the top of my top of my ocean meets the top of my screen, reset to minus 960. Keep doing that. Reset to minus 960. Keep going, right? And it'll keep doing that forever. So I'll make an endless scroll. Does that make sense? All right. We're cooking. We're cooking now. I got more done with you guys than I did with the COMP305 class in one day. All ready? Try this out. Let's see if it works. All right, so let's go back to here. I'm going to start, and oh man, what the heck? Well, of course it's not going to work because I made my object, right? But I never added it to the screen. So I'm going to go back to my play scene. And now in my play scene, I've defined my plane. I need to do private underscore ocean, which is of type objects.ocean, right? I've defined it. I'm going to go down on my start method and add it. So I'm going to kind of just copy this and paste it. So this dot underscore ocean is equal to a new objects.ocean. And I'm passing in the asset manager, right? And then I'm going to update it to this dot underscore ocean dot update. I'm going to call the update method. And I want to add it to this. Now, here's the question. Where should I add it? Should I add it after the plane or before the plane? Before, because remember, it's going to be layered in display object order. And into the display object is the layering of my objects. And you can't really change that so easily. You could add child to a specific point if you really wanted to. So this dot underscore ocean. Okay, good. So I've got my ocean and my plane. I'm updating it. I instantiated it. I defined it. I think I'm good. Let's see. Let's see. Hey, look at that now. Whoa, what the heck? What the? So I got to go back to my ocean and fix it. I did this, but I didn't call check bounce. This dot underscore check bounce. I'm glad you're paying attention again, right? And I go back and I start it again. Now it should go forever, right? And now, like Ronaldo said, if you notice very quickly, take a look. Oh, there. Let's see if you can see. Oh, there it is again. It's very subtle for this one because it's not, there it is. So it's very subtle, but it's still viewable if you really pay attention a lot. I mean, it's not perfect background. You can get a tileable background. Let's say you want to find a tileable background that's tiled. Easy way to make this one is if you're making a space game as an example, and you have lots of stars, right? Then the back of the tile and the front of the tile are black, no stars, right? So the period of no stars and then stars again, right? And you can make it stylized. You can make it look like a thing, whatever, but it's going to be big enough so you can't tell that one's ending and the other one's starting, right? The cityscape, you're going to make it, let's say, with mountains or whatever, and the mountain is going to start here and finish down here, and then it's going to be a bit of nothing, and then now the mountain is going to start off again, right? So it looks like it's continuously scrolling, right? To make it more interesting, you can have two layers, one that is scrolling in front of the other one, this parallax scroll effect. But for now, this is fine. We've got our background where it looks like we're flying over the ocean. Yay! We need an enemy and some kind of thing to pick up. First, we're going to do the island as we're cooking with gas today. But before we do this, I'm going to go into the ocean. I'm going to add this whole thing in. Here it is. I've added it. I'm going to say added ocean object. Right? And push. Okay, we got our ocean object. Now we need an island. And the island's going to be almost exactly like the ocean. It's going to go down. It's going to be the same speed as the ocean, but it's going to be slightly different when it comes to checking the bounds, right? So, oh man, if I'm starting to duplicate, that's a call for a superclass because I'm doing the same things over and over again here. Is that what you're going to say?
Not really, but yeah, that's another issue.
It's an issue. Tell me.
Actually, I was going to talk about the vertical speed.
I didn't use it, right? I never used it. I'm supposed to use it down here, right? So why would I declare a vertical speed up here, but I never used it? Well, what I was supposed to do is in my start method, right? So if I go to my start method, here it is. I'm supposed to define the vertical speed. So this dot underscore vertical speed. I'm going to say is equal to 5, just to keep track of everything. And then this would be equal to this dot underscore vertical speed. That's what I'm supposed to do. Thank you for that. Because that's, I intended to do that, but you know, absent-minded professor. So, okay, good. So that's good. Thank you for that. Now I need to do the same thing with the island, and we're going to go to objects. I'm going to do a new file, TS, yay. And this time, instead of copying the other one or starting from scratch, I'm going to take the ocean completely, copy it all, copy it, go to my island, paste it, right? And then change the name from ocean to island, okay? Now we need a vertical speed. We have the asset manager. Instead of ocean, we're going to say island here in my constructor, right? And instead of my reset position being 960, what should it be? I want the ocean just to be, or the island just to be outside of the screen. What should be my island? Well, we have a couple of other issues, right? One is I need width, height, and all that stuff again, right? Because my island is going to be centered in the middle, right? So let's go grab that from the plane. Oh man, I'm duplicating again. Like all this stuff and all this stuff. I need all this stuff, right? So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to go back to my island. I put it into my private instance variables here. So before these things, I'm put them in. And I have the exact same variables as my plane, right? I'm going to have to, right? But I don't want to kill you guys one thing at a time. First, let's set up the game. Then we'll optimize. If I optimize as I set up, you're going to go crazy. You know, I'm going to drive you crazy, right? We'll optimize another time. So I got this. And I definitely want go back to my my plane again. And I'm going to grab all this because I need all this stuff, right? This is just for my island. So I'm going to go to my start method. Just wait on here. And before I do vertical speed, I'll go all those. Almost like I need to do that every time, right? If I have to do this every time, this has to be inside my superclass, right? I have to make you wait because you have to understand what would make you choose to do it. There's things sometimes where you kind of have to decide what's less code, making a superclass or just, if it's not so many objects, duplicate, you know, but superclass is the better way. So that's the first part. So the first part, I need this part. And now this, where do I reset? I want to reset, but I want to take my island, and as it moves off the screen in the bottom, I want to reset it to the top. What's my reset position for my island? What do you think it is? For those people who've done it before, you can say. Maybe you don't remember. Well, so what is it? Negative height, right? So I can just put in here this dot height, right? And I can put a negative value in front of it. Really cool. So negative this dot height. So that's the start position. Now check bounds. When the bottom of this thing moves below 480, so if it's greater than 480 plus this dot height, right? Then reset. Because it's going below 480 plus an additional height, so it's fully off the screen, and then reset. That's what I want it to do. I'm not doing half height, I'm doing full height. And the reason for full height is because I want to give it a little bit of extra time to get off the screen, right? So it's fully off, so it doesn't flash up again really quickly. And by the way, some people add 2 times this height, right? So it's way down the screen and way up the screen before it comes down. So it gives it a little bit less time. Because remember, the island is going to be our pickup, right? Every time we pick up an island, we're going to get points, right? All right, so that's what this does. I think we're done. Vertical speed is 5. We're going to still keep vertical speed at 5. Why is vertical speed going to be 5? Because we want it to match the ocean. We don't want the island flowing faster than the ocean. That means it's like going to be like a moving island somehow, which is impossible, right? All right, so let's see how this works. So this is this. Next part, we have to add it into our index.html, same as before. So I'm going to take another one of these, put it in there, give it a little bit of a space, change this to island. There we go, right? Plain, ocean, and island. And now I got to add it into my scene. So on my scene, which is my play scene. So here's my scene, my play scene. I don't have it. I'm going to add it in. So my ocean, I'm going to copy this one. So it's going to be underscore island, which is objects.island. And I'm going to instantiate it here. Island and objects.island. And I'm going to update it here. Okay. Island. And I'm going to add it here. Oh, question, where should I add it? Should I add it after the plane or before the plane? Yeah, because you don't want the island going over the plane, right? Doesn't make any sense. So it's got to be here. Okay, that should do it. That should make the island, the ocean, the plane. Back, start, and okay, there it is. But, oh man, I'm not quite done, am I? Right? Well, it should never start off screen. That's number one. And it can't be in the same position all the time. So that's the one thing that's different than the ocean too. I want it to start a random position on the x-axis, right? From 0 plus the half width of the island to 640 minus the half width of the island, right? So any one of those areas, I want it to, that's going to be the start position. So go back to the drawing board. And if I look at the island, here's my island, then upon reset, when we reset, right? So let's go back to reset here. When we reset, I want not just the height to change, but also the x-axis. So the x-axis is going to something like this. This dot x is equal to math.random, random number, right? And notice it delivers a number between 0 and 1, right? By 640 minus the width, half the width of the island. So 640 minus this dot half width, right? That's what it's multiplied by. Well, we have to think about it. It might be full width in a second, right? Right? Because instead of half width, it should be width, right? Because I have to have, yeah, the other half on the other side. So it's going to be this dot width. So I subtract the width, and then I add the width. So from 0 plus half width, actually, right? Half width, yeah, plus half width. So, minus whole width plus half width. So worst case scenario is going to be still on screen both sides. So I take this value and then I add, I'm just putting in brackets so you can see it, this dot half width. So let's see what that means. That means that I'm going to get a number between 0 and if let's say my island was 40, it's not 40. Let's say my island was 40, then it would be 0 to 600, right? And then I add half the width, so it'd be from 20 to 600 to 620, which is perfect, right? That's why we do this. So that's the x-axis value. So every time it resets, it's going to put it in a different position on the top. We're going to go off screen. All right, so let's try this out. Start, and I see the island's here, and the island's going to be here, and the island's going to be here, slightly different position. And every time it's going to be different. It's going to look like it's random, but really it's just resetting, right? So we've got our island moving. My God, can I actually finish the clouds, right? This would be impossible. From one day, I did more in this day than I did like my COMP305 class, All right. All right. Well, let's do a couple things first. First, I want to add this to the staging area, and I'll say added island object, right? And now let us do the last object, which is the cloud. Cloud object is more complex, but it's very similar to the island. So again, I'm going to go into objects. I'm going to new file. I'm going to call this cloud.ts. I'm going to take the island now, because the island is the most recent one that I did. Better than the ocean because it has all the other stuff in it. And I'm going to go back to my cloud and pitch it forward. Change the number to cloud. Change this to cloud. Everything is the same except for this. Right? Here's the cloud. Right? 640 minus this dot half weight, that's all the same, right? Nothing's different, right? Well, yes, it is. But we'll see. The vertical speed can't be 5. For now, we'll make it 10. But that's even weird, right? And wow, okay, we're going to have some problems. But let's add it to the index.html. Here's our index.html, and we'll add it in. And we'll call this cloud.js. Going to our start scene and immediately add it in because we're almost done. Right? Cloud is just like a variant of the island, right? Kind of. So we'll go to my scene, my play scene. We'll go to the top. We'll add another object. And we'll call this the underscore cloud object, which is of type objects.cloud. And come in here and instantiate it. Notice the same process. And the scene class itself is very sparse right now because we're not asking it to do much. And we'll do a cloud.updates, which we'll have to change in a second because you'll see how it's wrong. And we'll just do this and add the cloud after the plane because the cloud flies over the plane. All right, cool. We're ready to go. How does it work? It works like this. Whoa. Wait. Oh. Hey. Right? We got a random cloud. Pretty quick, actually. But I have a problem. This is too boring and too easy, right? What I want is 3 clouds, maybe 4. And I also want the cloud to have some horizontal drift, right? And I want the speed to be varied between 5 pixels and 10 pixels. Some fast clouds, some slow clouds. Okay? Let's do all the variations first, and then we'll add another cloud if we have time. It's really the end of the class right now, but if you stick around for a few more minutes, I'll try and get it all done. Okay, so let's go. It's all in the cloud in this particular case. You can see that when I reset, here's my reset. I changed my height, and I also changed my X value, right, for my width. But this might be a great place to also change my vertical speed. So I'm going to take my vertical speed out of here, right, and put it in my reset function. So right here. My vertical speed is also going to be a random value. So math.random, right, between 5 up to 5, and we're going to add 5 to it. So this plus 5. Okay, so that's my vertical speed. So it's some random value between 5 and 10. So it starts at 5, and we add 5. Up to 5. Actually, you do it the other way around. You do it from the reverse. You start this side, 5. So this is 10, 5 to 10. Okay? And by the way, what you could do for these random values, which I'm not doing, is you could do math.floor, which would round down because we don't care about the extra points, right? Like point something, 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 which would eliminate some things, but it's okay. Leave it alone for now. Well, this is afterwards. We optimize after, right? So that's one, vertical speed. Now, I also want horizontal speed, which is something I don't have, and I'm going to make that up. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go private underscore horizontal speed, which is also a number. And you can see that I'm going to put the horizontal speed in here as well. So we'll say this dot underscore horizontal speed is equal to, again, math.random. But this time I want to do something weird, and I need your help for it. I want to go negative 2 this way to positive 2 this way. How do I do that? A negative value, a random number from a negative value to a positive value. Random. I want to go from -2 drift to the left, or a positive drift to the right. How do I do that? -2 to 2.
Times 4.
So 0 to 4. So 0 to 4, and then? Okay. But that means that we'll start on the left, and then we'll add up to 4. Up to 4. We'll always, by default, we'll drift to the left. That's what that means. And if you do 2 minus, if you do 0 times 4, as an example, he's right, 4. But if you add +2, right, or something like that, 0 to -4 plus 2, whatever, however you do it, right, either you drift to the right more or you drift to the left more. Just letting you know. Statistically, because pseudo-random numbers, right, it's not an even distribution, right? You get some weird distribution sometimes where if you do 0 to 4, it doesn't mean that you're going to get 2 on average. There's no average from 0 to 4. If you want to get an average value of 2, you need to take 2 times 4, divide it by 2, and then add your positive or negative value at the end. You see what I'm saying? Because the average would be this. If I roll a 4-sided die, right? How many times am I going to get 0? Or sorry, how many times am I going to get 0? And how many times am I going to get 3? It's going to go from 0 to whatever value, right? 0 to 4 plus whatever I add, right? That's the other thing to note. This goes from 0 to, right? So here, when we did this one, vertical speed 5 plus 5, it's really 0 to 5, right? Plus 5. So it could be 0 or it could be up to 5, 4.999, whatever it is. And if I add in what you said, 0.99999, whatever it is, plus or -2, whatever it is, right? However, if I roll the dice, it's equal chances. It could be any time, any one of those. There's no even distribution. I'm not going to get an average, right? If I want the average to be somewhere in the middle, just saying, right? And I want to add even numbers from both right and left, sometimes it's better to roll 2 dice, right? 2d4, right? And then add the result, divide by 2, which will give you a more normal distribution, and then subtract 2, right? Because then you'll get somewhere in the middle, right? On average, more towards the middle, towards 2, most often 2. And then if you minus 2, you're going to get towards the left. 0, 0, 0 drift, most often, with some variation right and left. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So if I do 0 times 4 and then -2, sometimes this will give you more minus, because -2 is set. It's -2. It's always going to be -2, right? And I might get anywhere between 0 and 4. But quite often, it's random. So you don't know what it's going to be. And often it's more towards the left. You'll see it more drifting towards the left than towards the right. Because pseudo-random number, the way math random works, doesn't work well. Anyways, I'm wasting time. So this is horizontal speed. Now, what I want to do is, after I reset, on my update, I've added vertical speed. And now what I want to do is I want to add horizontal speed. Now, this is also something you can do. What if I put a minus here? Would it matter? Right? Okay, let's try it out. So, see, drifts to the right, drifts to the left, slow, drifts to the left, drifts to the left, straight, straight, drifts to the right, drifts to the left. See, there's more lefts. And I'll notice that more often than anything else. Sometimes in this case, it's drifts to the right. But notice that it's pretty good. I mean, I'm going underneath the cloud. I've got pretty good performance, right? There's not a lot of weird bouncing around, right? And this is all on the web. All right, I want to add multiple clouds, and I want them to update. How do I do that? Wow. Well, there's a couple ways I could do it. I could add cloud 1, cloud 2, cloud 3. Cloud 1, cloud 2, cloud 3. Should I cloud 1, cloud 2, cloud 3? How about cloud 4, cloud 5, cloud 6? Should I keep adding them and add child? So that's really bad. I know it's making you cringe. You're getting, it's like someone's bothering you, right? So the way to do it, of course, is to create an array of clouds, right? Or an array list, a list of clouds. So in order for me to do that, I'm going to do that in my scene class. So my play scene, instead of adding a cloud, that doesn't make any sense. I want to add clouds. So this cloud, I'm going to call clouds. And it's not going to be of objects.cloud. It's going to be objects.cloud, a list of objects.cloud. Now, there's two ways to do that.
Why don't you just reset?
Huh?
Why don't you just reset?
I want to have 3, 4, 5, 10 clouds. How are you going to do that? Right? So I could do this. This is an array of clouds. Right? How do I do lists in JavaScript? So it's almost like I want to do a new array of type clouds, or a new list of clouds. But lists and arrays in JavaScript work exactly the same, right? It's not like how they are in C# or in other languages, right? So I can push and add and do, yeah, exactly. I can do all those kind of things, and I can treat an array like a list in JavaScript, which is what it is, an array list more than anything else. So here, what I've got is objects.cloud, right? But I need to instantiate this object, and I'm going to do that down here in my start. So here, what I want to do is I want to say something like this. This.cloud is a new array of type objects.cloud. Now, when you see it this way, this is actually correct. But it's not clouds. It's not cloud. It's clouds, like this. Do you see that? That's the syntax. Actually, this is exactly how we do it when it comes to other languages. Java is very close to this. Okay, cool. So I've added a new array of cloud. Here, my update, if I do an update, it's going to be a for each cloud, right? For each cloud update. For each. What I want to do is for this array, which is going to be called this._clouds, right? I want to, for each cloud, I want to update. So I want to cut this out here and go there. And I just want to say cloud.update. That's the for each loop. So for each cloud, update. That's what's happening here. And then instead of adding a cloud in one at a time, I need to add them in with a for loop. Oops. We're almost done. So I want to do a for loop, this one. So for, we'll say count, oops, for count is equal to 0, where count is less than some array length. We'll make this a let instead of a var, right? And the array will be not an array, it'll be a cloud number, which we'll put cloud num, this dot cloud num. We don't have cloud num yet, but we'll put it in a second. What I want to do here is I want to say for every cloud, do this. But I want to add child, not the cloud. I want to do two things. I want to add the cloud to the array, because my array list is empty, right? And then I want to add that object, right, to the container. All right, so I need another private variable called cloud_num, private underscore cloud_num, which is a number. I'm going to instantiate this object in my start method. I'm going to set this up cloud_num. We're going to set that to 3, so 3 clouds, right? So this is, and then what I want to do is I want to say something like that. I want to say that this dot underscore clouds, right? Count. Oops. Count. This cloud count is equal to a new. This is where I do my new statement. Objects. Cloud. Right? Because I don't want to instantiate. Oh no, I have them already. I'm sorry. I've already added them in. Oh no, haven't I? Have I done that yet? No, I haven't. I can't add them here. I don't want to add them here. I want to add them here. I'm sorry. I instantiate here, and I create the list here. Sorry. I want to put this up here, and then I want to add it in. Well, it's like I have to do 2 for loops that way. Add each one as I go. I think this is better. So I'm going to say new objects.cloud asset manager. This dot asset manager. Let me do that. And then I want to add child this dot underscore clouds count. That makes sense? No, guys, you guys are tired. I'm tired too. But take a look. So I do an array for count 0 to the cloud number 3. I increase the array. It's a for loop. Then I add new objects to the array. I do it here. I know I could have done it in my start method, right? But that means I'd have to do 2 arrays. One to add them to my array, and then one to the display list, right? To the container. I just want to do it in one for loop, and then we're done. I only do it once, but I do update each cloud all the time. So now we should have 3 clouds, all randomly going different directions. So they look like mini clouds. Let's see how this looks. And this is the last part for today. All right, so start. Yeah, there we go. Right? Right? That's pretty fast. Not bad. Look, I did part of this today in COMP305, and it took me 4 weeks to do that in COMP305, right? Because I went through so slow with Unity, right? But you can see that it's pretty good. I got pretty good responsiveness. It looks like a little game. Now, here's the problem that we have, and I'm going to leave you this thought. There's no way to get to the end scene right now. There's no, even though it's there, it exists. There's no way to get to it because I have no end condition, right? And the only way we can get to end condition, which we're going to handle next week, right, is collisions. We have to create collision detection, right? We're going to talk about broad phase, narrow phase collisions next week, right? There's a couple of options how we can do the collisions. And then next week, if we have time, when we do the collision manager, right, it should detect any kind of object, which is going to push us to do a game object. We can't do it this week, we just ran out of time. But if I had more time with you, I'd do a game object, which I would create a superclass. And that superclass could be detected. I could use that superclass to detect that that object that I'm checking collisions for is a game object, right? And you're going to see how this works out. But so far, guys and girl, you have what we've ended up with today is a couple things. We have a state machine. We can move from the start screen to the play scene. And actually, when we do this, we do the condition, we can even go to the end scene, right? So you have your scenes. Now I can add as many of these as I want. This is just one level. I can make 5 levels, 10 levels, 20 levels. It's unlimited. And you can make the background and your challenges different every time, right? And this is a good start because we're only at week 4. So if you think about this, what we can do if we keep with MailPilot for the next bunch of weeks, right? Like I said, I can add shooting, I can do whatever I can. I'm going to add gamepad support, right? The whole thing, right? And the reason for this is because this is how we start off a game. We start off slow and we build. This is my minimum viable product. If I was going to show you my alpha, I'm almost there. I'm almost at alpha release. If you think about this, right? If this was my game, right? I need collisions and I need some kind of scoring mechanism. And that's it. Nice to have sounds too. We can get that mostly done by next week, mostly. I won't be able to get it all done because I have lots of stuff to do. But I can almost have my alpha ready by next week, right? Your alpha is due when? Week 10, right? Sorry, no, this is my first playable. My first playable is week 27. So I'm way ahead, like way ahead. Week 7, I'm almost like halfway. And this is where you should be. You should have something like this going on, right? Around now. But we just talked about this. So, of course, you should be about a week behind. So if you don't have all this right now, you should have it by next week. I should be able to see something moving on your screen now by next week with the stuff I've given you. If you actually do a little bit of research to find out how to move stuff, it shouldn't be that difficult. Any questions around this? All right, that's it for me today. See you next week, and we'll do more. I'll push this up on GitHub.